Hello, Fresh Pear Sudbury Religious Exploration. It's me, Mr. Robert,
Gia.
and we are here once again for another lesson. Thank you for joining us. So this month our theme is nurturing beauty. And our theme for this particular lesson is going to be celebrating the beauty in others. So, in this lesson, we reflect on how important it is to understand and celebrate that we are all different, including the way our bodies and brains work. This lesson holds up and explores how we can appreciate the beauty in others and celebrate it in all its forms. We will also explore the concept that we don't need to conform or act as others do to be beautiful. This lesson also helps us to remember that another way we appreciate and celebrate beauty is remembering that there is no such thing as normal and no settled definition of what beauty is. It's a key thing that people say. It's like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And that really means that it's up to us. Like, no one can tell us what beauty is to us. So it's for us to decide ourselves. And everyone has beauty in them, even if for some reason we can't see it because we're not looking hard enough. All right? There is no set standard for beauty inside our face reminds us when it comes to nurturing beauty, we need to appreciate it in all its many forms, and that celebrating the beauty of others comes from understanding, awareness, and empathy. You know all those words?
Awareness and empathy.
I'm sorry?
Awareness and empathy.
Awareness and empathy are the only ones you know. You don't know understanding.
I don't understand.
I'm sorry? You gotta speak louder.
I don't understanding.
So I asked, do you know all those words? Understanding, awareness, and empathy.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes. Yes.
Hear you. All right. And do you know those words? You do. All right. So before we start everything, let's first do our chalice lighting. Jill will lead us in our words.
I have eyes to see. I have ears to listen. I have a mouth to speak truth, and I have a hand to help.
A hand to help. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, difference is beautiful. Hope you can see everything. So, here's a book. Book. You see this? It's a book. We have a mirror over here. Bella. A mirror. Ooh. Okay, it's fine. A mirror. Yes. And we have a window. Or a picture of a window. Whichever one you want to use. We have a real window right here. But this picture is lovely as well. Let's see. Hold on. Ooh. Nice. A mirror reflects us, just like a mirror. Sorry. A mirror reflects us, just like a mirror reflects us. Books can be mirrors and reflect things we know and experience. A window lets us see outside. Just like a window lets us see and learn about what is outside, a book can act as a window so we can see and learn about something outside of our own life and experience. Do you understand what that is? So if we look out the window and we see what's going on outside our home, our rooms, the building, our work, whatever. Ooh, lovely, lovely day. And a book tells us about experiences that are outside of our life that might be happening in someone else's life, right? It's a mirror to hold up for someone else's experience or someone else's life. You know, whether it's someone's life in nonfiction, right, where it's a true story, like a biography of some sort, or historic history, sorry, or even in novels, which are fiction, like that can still tell experiences that other people have gone through. And it can help us understand and empathize with people who have gone or might go through those experiences that we come upon and meet. So, So can you, because you're the only kid I have, share an example of a book that you've read that was a window or mirror?
I read
Yes.
a book called Warriors. A book called Warriors.
A book called Warriors. Speak up and make sure they can hear you too. And how was that book a mirror or a window?
It was telling me like what the character was going through.
Like what? Give me an example. Give me an example of something from that book that helped you understand or empathize with what someone else might go through in their life.
Like a lot of threats.
Physical threats? Or what kind of threats? What do you mean?
Dangerous animals.
Oh, so it's about someone who had to deal with dangerous animals. Yeah.
Yeah, and the person who wants revenge.
Oh. And what did you like? What did it help you understand about either the dangerous animals or the person who wants revenge? Did the person who wanted revenge get revenge?
I haven't finished like the series.
Oh, so it's not over yet. Mm. So what is this person who wants revenge going through? Do you want to pick a different book, maybe? Maybe one that doesn't revolve around speaking animals that are at war with one another? It seems like it's hard for you to figure out what you might take from that in regards to, like, life and experiences.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, okay. And what is that? Like, what do you get from that?
I get
So for me, because I love me some Harry. What I would take from Harry is the experience of unwanted um, fame, right? Harry doesn't want to be famous. He just wants to be a boy who lives his life. I mean, he gets into a lot of stuff, but he's like forced to deal with this truth that has been formed around who he is, and now he feels the need to, even as he doesn't want to deal with it, he's forced to kind of live with it, right? The forced fame, the forced expectations. When I know some people, not exactly were wizards or anything, but where people told them who they were or who they were supposed to be and the struggles that it takes to try to live up to that. Okay, so that's what I can get. You don't have anything, huh? I'm sorry?
No, I agree with you.
Oh, do you agree with me? Interesting. He agrees with me. What about any of you? Do you have any books that you've read that are mirrors or windows? So, all right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna read our story. So we are all different, and that makes us all the more beautiful. Can you imagine how boring the world would be if everybody were the same? Exactly the same.
Wow.
Animal School is a wonderful story that reminds us to embrace the things that we are good at, and understand that it is okay to do things differently. So, can you imagine what would happen if we expected a fish to behave like an eagle? Like we see a fish and we're like, fish, what are you doing in that water? You need to be up in the sky.
Yeah, you need to catch that moth right there, man.
Right, come on. We are all beautifully different individuals, and it is important to celebrate that. So, here we go. I'm going to read the story for you. Da-da-da. So, this is called Animal School. It's a parable. So it's not, it's a parable is a story, a short story that has been passed down from generation to generation. Almost, yeah. Once upon a time, the animals decided they must do something decisive to meet the increasing complexity of their society. They held a meeting and finally decided to organize a school. The curriculum consisted of running, swimming, and flying. Since these were the basic behaviors of most animals, they decided that all the students should take all of the subjects. The duck proved to be excellent at swimming, better in fact than his teacher. He also did well in flying, but he proved to be very poor in running. Since he was poor in this subject, he was made to stay after school to practice it, and even had to drop swimming in order to get more time in which to practice running. He was kept at this poor subject until his webbed feet were so badly damaged that he became only average at swimming. But average was acceptable in the school, so nobody worried about that, except the duck. The rabbit started at the top of his class in running, but finally had a nervous breakdown because of so much make-up time in swimming, a subject he hated. The squirrel was excellent in climbing until he developed psychological blocking in flying class when the teacher insisted he start from the ground instead of from the top of the trees. He was kept at attempting to fly until he became muscle-bound and received a C in climbing and a D in running. The eagle was the school's worst discipline problem. In climbing class, he beat all the others to the top of the tree used for examination purposes in this subject, but he insisted on using his own method of getting there. The gophers, of course, stayed out of the school and fought the tax levied for, the gophers, of course, stayed out of the school and fought the tax levied for education because digging was not included in the curriculum. They apprenticed their children to the badger and later joined the groundhogs and eventually started a private school offering alternative education. Do you understand the purpose of the story? What is it telling us?
It's telling us that when somebody does something, you have to force them to do everything, not force people to do everything.
Okay. What I took from this story is that each animal excelled in the things that they were meant to excel in. Their body was meant for certain things, and that's what they excelled in. But if you try to take that away from them to force them to do something that they weren't meant to do, then they never get to excel at anything, right? They never get to master anything because they're too busy trying to just learn or do the stuff they're not meant to do. So we should look at people and look at what the beauty that they have, the talents that they do have, and we should encourage that and nurture that instead of forcing them to do the things they're not supposed to do. Right? The rabbit wasn't able to run because he was always trying to make up swimming. But rabbits aren't meant to swim, right? They're meant to run. Eagles are meant to fly. They're not meant to climb trees. They can just use their wings and fly to the top. And ducks swim. They swim and they can fly. But they're not meant to run. They don't have to be fast. They have other ways of moving. And the gophers, they got it, of course, right? They were like, look, I'm not even going to deal with this because I'm a digger. But then when you do that, when you are forcing people to be something and excel at stuff that they're not even really that interested in, then you sometimes lose out on having other people join and like figure out other talents that could be interesting. So the gophers did a private school. They went off and they did their own thing. But if we all want to learn together as one community, then we have to be allowed to accept people, children, students, adults, at what they're good at, instead of trying to force them to be mediocre at everything. Because that's what it was. They were all right with them being average at everything, but they just had to be average instead of excelling.
Yeah, they want them to excel in some stuff.
They didn't want them to excel in anything. They didn't care if they excelled. Because their main thing was to make sure that they did all the subjects. And if they were average in all the subjects, then that's fine. As long as they were average in all the subjects. Whereas sometimes it's about, this is what I'm good at. I'm really good at math. So yes, I will practice this other stuff. But I don't need to do PE to be a great mathematician? So, what part of the story will you remember the most?
And probably the eagle or the gopher, the duck.
Okay, those are a lot of things. Can you just sit, please? Thank you. So you're gonna remember all the animals, mainly. So what part of the story will you remember most? Do you remember? Do you remember any of the story?
Yes, I almost remember all of it.
I'm sorry.
I almost remember all of it.
Okay. What was your favorite part of the story?
My favorite part was when the eagle said that he could climb up to the tree on his own.
He wanted to do it on his own. Right. Yeah. What about you? What is your favorite part, or what part will you remember the most? If you were an animal, what would you be, and what would you be good at?
That would be
Hands in your pocket. Like, stop hitting stuff, making noises, please. Actually, just put your hands in your lap, please. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I think that would be probably eagle.
And what would you be good at? It doesn't have to be one of these animals. But is eagle still your answer?
I guess.
You guess. All right. And what would you be good at?
Well, flying.
I'm sorry?
Flying.
Flying. All right. And what are some things that you have a difficult time doing? What are some things you guys have a difficult time doing?
I can't really think of them.
Oh, there are some. But no, I'm not going to put your business out there. How do you think the animals felt when they couldn't do something because it's not how their bodies were designed?
Guilty?
Guilty? All right. What about you all? Do you think that the animals felt guilty when they couldn't do something their bodies weren't designed to do in the first place? I think they might have felt frustrated, maybe a little sad, self conscious, right? And possibly guilty. Guilty about what?
That, that they wanted to press the people, but they couldn't.
No. So embarrassed? Like, what were they guilty for?
That they couldn't do what they wanted to do.
Okay. What would you have done to help make the animals feel better?
They said you don't have to do those stuff. You can just do what you're good at.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
You don't have to do the stuff at all. You could just do what you're good at.
Okay. What about you? Do you have something you would have done to make the animals feel better? I think that's a good one. Just allow them to kind of be who they are. Have you ever known someone whose body or brain worked in a different way than yours? As he's thinking, what about you? Do you know anyone whose body or brain worked in a different way than yours?
Yes.
Who? And how so?
Charlie.
All right. And how's Charlie's body or brain different?
Because he has autism.
Can't hear you.
Autism.
Right, because he's autistic. Yeah, he's on the spectrum. I'm sorry, he's not autistic. He's on the autism spectrum. Yeah. So he's a little. His mind works a little different, right? Sometimes he really concentrates on one thing, and it's hard to get him to move off of that. There's also, you have your cousin who's dyslexic, right? Words and language is different. It works differently. It doesn't always work as easily as you get it. So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you for listening. If you have any thoughts or comments, please feel free to share that with us. But continue to look at the beauty of yourself and others and think about that. And always be open to try to understand someone else's point of view or just what might be different for them in their mind or their body or just their life. Instead of, just automatically thinking that there's a normal way to be, and if you're not that way, then something's wrong. Because that's not always true, right? Like sometimes we all are different and we all have our beauty. You understand that?
Yes.
Do you have a milestone you would like to share? Oh, thank you. I was on that one, so I'll get it. I can get it. I will get it.
Milestone I have is that, or joy I have is that I'm playing a sport. I just started playing a sport.
All right. What sport are you playing?
Baseball.
Baseball. It's called baseball.
No, it's called Little League.
Little League. Okay. Nice. Little League baseball. Are you gonna put it in? Okay. I have a joy that is I will be officiating my first and maybe only wedding ceremony next weekend. I'm really excited about that for two of my very close friends, and my best friend is coming to join me who I don't get to see that often because she lives in California. So I'm excited about the wedding ceremony and being a part of it, and also about seeing someone who is very special to me. You have another you can share another one if you want.
No.
Go ahead, share another joy or something.
Why?
Because you wanted to put it in there, which is fine. That's fine.
I was with you.
So what is your joy that you're sharing? Or sorrow, or milestone?
That I get to spend some time with my cousins.
All right, nice.
While you're playing.
All right. Well, thank you all. Have a great month and enjoy the weather on the days that it seems nice. Today's beautiful. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. All right. Bye. Oh, we always forget that challenge.
Hey, I want to blow it.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.